So today I want to share about from kind of like how to learn from all different places. So yes, so in Slichos is the petitions to God, where it's, for example, it's said between the Jewish New Year and the Day of Atonement, and other times in the year, and it says that, and I believe it's on Hoshana Rabbah, like sometime after that, and the end of the Sukkot holiday, and then also on some fast days, say Slichos, as far as I remember. And so it says that God answers, and it gives many examples, like builds us up. So God answered Abraham on Mount Moriah, Jacob on Beth El, our fathers at the Sea of Reeds, Aaron with the censer, Joshua in Gilgal, David and his son Solomon in Jerusalem, Elisha in Jericho, and Hezekiah or Chizkiyahu, king of Judah, in his illness, Daniel in the lion's den, Mordechai and Esther in Shushan the capital, which is the Purim story, which just recently we commemorate each year in this month of Adar, Isaac when bound on the altar, Joseph in prison, Moses at Horeb, and Pinchas when he rose from amid the congregation with the sword, Samuel in Mizpah, Elijah on Mount Carmel, Yonah in the bowels of the fish, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah from the fiery furnace. And often at these times when we do slichot, it's like a time where we do like an account, our cheshbon nefesh, which is like, what's going on? What's the inventory? What's the balance? We account for ourselves. We take an account. And so, just as an example, I did one, I wrote it down, it's from a couple years ago. It's like insanity, anxiety because of insecurity, and pretentiousness. And then I want to share from Ariella Daly on the Shift Network. She talks about bees, how we're like in this hive, and how we're on the hive of earth together, or we could say we're all part of one body. And it has a dream. It weaves, it unites and connects in the deep structure of the fabric. That's our ancestral element. It's like genetics, pretty much. And we can listen to the hum of a multi-single organism. Multicellular single organism. In like this big network where no one survives on their own. And there's pollination, honey, food, which is bee food, plants and flowers, and we can think of like the queen bee, the matriarch, the feminine, as like sacrificing herself. She lays her eggs and doesn't even get to see them hatch. So this is really the ultimate, like when we live for the future. So sometimes in a cheshbon nefesh we see where we've been like looking at just taking, and we might start to say, well, you know what? We can make others, the future, who we may never meet, also feel secure. That's like when we're all in the one body. Now, the liver can't be the lung cell, the liver cell, the spleen cell cannot be the kidney cell, but when every cell is in working order and feeling good, the whole body benefits. So that's sort of the shift we want to do. So what is the Lubavitch introduction to the slichot is how tshuva is indispensable. Tshuva means returning. That's what the goal is from cheshbon nefesh, from slichos, is, and like I just shared about the bees, when we think of the land of milk and honey, right? The milk and the honey, no one was killed. The milk is food from one animal to its child, and honey from one animal to its child, from one insect to its child. So it's like nurture. It's from the place of love. It's giving nurture. It's not from a place of killing. Anyway, so repentance, like I just said, to become back part of the one body. And we have to be in a good place. We have to take care of ourselves. We don't want a cell that's not doing well and not getting enough rest and having to work too hard. Sometimes they turn cancerous, and then they're always taking. They're not able to give and do their job and be productive. And then you have liver cells that are not doing what they're supposed to. And others, it affects the other cells, the kidney, lung, spleen cell. And a lot of them, they replace itself and they never get to meet the ones like the queen bee. They don't get to meet their future selves. But then there are cells like the brain cells, which are with us for our entire life. And that's why sometimes we have memories and they're like stored in that cell as information. So now I'm going to share like a few different ideas about it. So from Judaism. So the Lubavitch introduction to the Slichos, which I mentioned, of those prayers or petitions, is how tshuva, repentance or returning, is indispensable. For it's impossible for man not to sin and err, either by erroneously adopting an opinion or moral quality which in truth is not commendable, or else by being overcome by passion and anger. If man were to believe that this fracture could never be remedied, he would persist in his error and perhaps even to add to his disobedience. The belief in tshuva, right, the repentance, the return, the resolution, however, leads him to improvement, to come to a state that is better, nearer to perfection than that which was obtained before he sinned. That's why the Torah, the book of life, before it was a book, the Torah of truth, of love, of light, of oneness. It prescribes many actions that are meant to establish the correct and very useful principle of tshuva. The Rambam, or in English Maimonides, says the power of tshuva is unlimited and that was from Maimonides, Rambam. And now there's a couple extra comments I wanted to make. One, from what I learned, and not exactly my own words, I'm just saying it in short. The power of tshuva is not like my original ideas is, and what am I trying to say? I'm saying this is together with Lubavitch's introduction on Slichot, but I just wrote it in short. So just know these are little packages that could be opened. The power of tshuva is unlimited and obstructive. I think unobstructable. I wrote obstructable. I think it's unlimited and unobstructable. It remedies and mends everything, removing burdensome pasts and opening the door to a new future, signifying removal, rebirth, becoming a different new person. It's like resurrection of the dead. It's like birthing ourselves. A single thought of tshuva instantaneously moves one from the depths of despair, of sin and despair and sin to the heights of reunification with God. Atonement is at one mint, to become one again. We know that through verbal confession and articulating one's pursuit of forgiveness, together with sincere regrets of the sin, omission or commission, like omitted to be one or committed a transgression against oneness, and also this firm undertaking not to repeat. And when we think of enlightenment, becoming light, it's a lot like dying. Identity, the fixtures, the stagnancy, laziness, colonizing, and settling has to go. So all of that. Identity, I'll say it in separate pieces. Identity has to go. We're practicing to clear the debris from the stuck places without fear. We loosen up. So identity has to go. Identity fixtures, like stuck places, where we're adhering and we can't move because we're like, my elbow's stuck. God forbid it would violate the wholeness. Stagnancy and laziness, colonizing or settling. And also no evil in terms of hearing, seeing, speaking, doing, thinking, touching, attracting, feeling, feeding. I want to read something from Tehillim, Psalm 104, verse 4. The flames of fire, his ministers. The Zohar teaches by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that there's fire stronger than fire that rejects fire. Even and an example is even the fiery angels can get punished in the fire of the river of fire. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who channeled the Holy Zohar, says that the Radiant Zohar says that the secret of seeing the three concealed lights is to close the eyes and turn then inwardly toward Chaylam, which is I. It's the vowel sign for I, but it's a sound, and we make a symbol for it. And then shuruk, which is oo, and then chiruk, which is e. So I u e, 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 I u e. And these are the three places that receive love, power, and beauty. And Rabbi Zusha, who I would love to meet on Teshuvah, on repentance, he says the letters are Taf, Shin, there's a Vav for U, a V, a Vez, and Hey. And he says Tamim. Tshuva is and so it's like a acrostic, right? The acronym? No, acrostic. So I can't remember now. Where each letter stands for something. I have to find out. I'll be right back. Okay, Google, what's an acrostic?
Here's the definition of acrostic. A poem, word puzzle, or other composition in which certain letters in each line form a word or words.
Okay, Google, what's an acronym?
Here's the definition of acronym. An abbreviation formed from the initial letters of other words and pronounced as a word, e.g. ASCII, NASA.
All right, so it's an acronym. He turned it into an acrostic, kind of. So tamim is to be it means wholeness, to be sincere with and pure and like pious. To be sincere with the eternal your God. Shiviti, I have set God before me always. Shiviti, I place. Uviahafta, and you shall love your fellow as yourself. This is all what tshuva is part of. What's part of tshuva? V'chol, and or bechal, in all your ways know Him. Hatzniah, to be modest, discreetly walk with God. And a couple points from the Quantum Torah website. We have entropy. Entropy is the number of microstates a system has. It always increases over time in closed systems. It's said to be a measure of disorder. It could go here or there. It could go here or there. It's not order anymore. Now everything's changing and moving and becoming different than when it started. This is how many possibilities there are of things to get disheveled or changed or not, or disordered, really, right? We call it decay. And we can kind of think of it as like dust. As you're walking around, your body's dusting itself off onto the environment. And it like has this, in Hebrew, the word divik, which is clinging to itself, is adherence. And so dust like clings to itself. On the other hand, also demon has a similar name word in Hebrew. It's almost pronounced the same way. And so we could think about how when Abraham was said he was going to have children like the stars, like this, like the dust. It's like the sand. Sand is close, but only near to each other. Dust sticks to itself, and stars are far apart. So dust has this special quality, so to be like the dust, in a way. Okay, Google, was Abraham blessed to have children like the dust?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Okay, Google, was Abraham the patriarch blessed to have children like dust?
Sorry, I don't understand. But I found something related. Do you want to know why was Abraham's wife infertile?
Okay, Google. I could go find it. I just don't want to waste anyone's time. I'll share something from Tovia Simon. He says, often the reason we need to do tshuva is very simple. It's because we heard a story, we agreed to it, we sanctioned it, believed it, factualized it, started to use it as a fact, right? By blaming, accusation, self-exoneration, leading to anxiety, frustration, anger, and even violence. That was poor food for the mind. So, when we need good food for the mind, we can sort of think of like, we can try to transcend our situation. How do we do that? Quantum Torah website shares about how we have this like future light cone, and it's like there's this flat plane of the present. It's called a hypersurface of the present. And we have different directions. We have space in all the directions, like from this flat place. But then there's this vertical sort of factor, and there's this cone going up, which is time, which is the future light cone, and the time that goes down, which is the past light cone. And then so we have here space on one element, and then time on the other element, and then we have the observer, right? We have the observer angle. So it also is like I wrote this down. I don't even know who said it. We can only escape from the world by outgrowing the world. Death may take man out of the world, but only wisdom can take the world out of man. As long as the human being is obsessed by worldliness, he will suffer from the karmic consequences of false allegiances. When, however, worldliness is transmitted into spiritual integrity, he's free, even though he still dwells physically among worldly things. Now, this karmic, in Hebrew we say, is mida keneged mida, measure for measure, your world to come. So we outgrow the world like something that doesn't fit anymore. It falls off. Death could take the person out of the physical world, but wisdom can take the world out of you so that you are free and turning the worldliness into spiritual integrity, like living in such a way, instead of having false allegiances with things in the world and everything fades away and nothing's reliable. I'm working on it. And I'll stop here. Regarding the Abraham with the dust, I will have to look into it. I could try to take a moment to go find it fast. Let me see if I have it here where I wrote it. Okay, Google, who was blessed in the Bible to have children like the dust?
On the website BibleRep.com, they say, using a potent analogy, God describes the number of Abram's descendants as like the dust of the earth.
There we go.
To find out more, look for the link.
So that's why dust? That was the answer to the question. Why dust? Because stars are far apart. Sand is close, but only near to each other. And dust clings to itself. It is literally holding itself. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. I have some more interesting things to say tomorrow for you. God willing. Have a good night. Bye.